Championship caliber people understand how to create momentum. They understand how to pull themselves out of the mud, out of the shit, and move themselves forward when they don't feel like it. They understand that creating momentum is very simply being able to force yourself through some things that you don't want to do for a few days in a row. Sometimes it might be 2 or 3. Sometimes it might be 14 or 15 or 16 days. But once you get through that period of time, you have now cultivated a tremendous amount of momentum. And championship caliber people understand how to do this. They understand how to exercise their discipline to make sure that they force themselves through the first gauntlet, so to speak, that they're going to have to get their lives in motion. All right? And so this is something that they all understand. And all the people on that level get it. Okay? They know how to take themselves from zero or even negative momentum and literally creep their way and force positive momentum. They learn what to do when they get stuck in the mud. Okay? And most people don't. Most people get stuck in the mud and they stay there year after year after year after year. Once in a while, maybe every 4 or 5 years, they get lucky and catch some momentum. And then they spend the next 3 years figuring out how the fuck that happened. Well, it's very simple. You created it. You created it because you exercised just enough discipline to pull yourself out and get yourself going. And you're mistaking your actions to create it as some sort of gift from the universe, which it's not. All right? So this is something that champions all understand. They understand how to manufacture momentum. And here, the second point I want to cover with you guys, and this is the big thing. This is the one that's hard. This is the one that most people just aren't willing to do. And this is also what separates total domination from fucking everything else. Okay? The second thing all these people understand is that they understand to not fuck with their momentum once they've created it. They don't intentionally do things to pull themselves off. They value the momentum, so they work to maximize it. Okay? Most people, when they get some momentum, what they do is they celebrate. And I'm just going to use the idea of diet and fitness here because I think most people will understand that. What they do is they go X amount, 6 days in a row or 5 days in a row, and they say, well, I need a reward. Motherfucker, you're making the most fundamental mistake that could ever be made in your life. You are killing your own momentum. You just worked 6 days to get your shit together, and now you're going to go out and jump right back into that life that you left 6 days ago that was making you miserable, which made you take action anyway. It makes no logical sense if you think about it. And champions think about this on a large scale, okay? They will cancel trips. They will cancel things that they're going to do because it's going to fuck with their momentum. I actually canceled a trip for this week because I have such high momentum right now that I have to keep it moving. I don't have a choice. I'm crushing it in my content, which you guys can notice because I've been putting out way more regular content. My fitness, I'm the most fit I've ever been. You don't see this, but I can tell you I have a number of projects that have been sitting on my desk for a lot of time that are now getting wrapped up. I'm creating momentum in all of these areas. And so I recognize that and I value that. So I don't do things to fuck with it. And that's what championship people do. Okay? It is the number one mistake that most people make is that when they have momentum, they sabotage it by thinking they need to reward themselves. Listen, motherfuckers, these people that live like you don't live, the people who aren't paying the price like you know you need to pay it, that's not the normal life. That's not what's going to bring you fulfillment. That's not what's going to bring you happiness. It hasn't so far, so why do you think it's going to? Why do you keep jumping back in the old fucking pond that's covered with moss and shit when you've just discovered this clear blue sea that you get to swim in every motherfucking day? You feel great, things are happening, good momentum's happening, and what happens? You make a decision to stop it. You go to a party and you get fucked up. You go on a trip and you eat like fucking shit for a week. And I know this sounds harsh, right? I know you're thinking, well, Andy, you gotta live. But you have to ask yourself what kind of life you actually want to live. Because you've already done this other life. You've done it for a long time, and it's created something that you know you need to move away from. So why aren't you? And why, when you do happen to create this momentum, do you then celebrate it with things that break the momentum? It doesn't make sense, okay? Championship people value momentum so much that they will sacrifice literally almost every other thing in life to keep it going. And because it works, because it's valuable, and because it's fucking powerful, okay? Now, I'm not saying you should never go on vacation. I'm not saying you should never eat your favorite foods. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that you should be mindful of these concepts. And if you are mindful of them, if you're mindful that, number one, we create the momentum and you know how to do it. And number two, that championship people will ride this shit out as long as they possibly can. And then what happens when they come off? They try to get back to it as fast as they can. I have a rule in my life, okay, that I picked up from someone else who was a legendary champion, that I don't ever allow myself 2 days or more, okay, of being off my shit anymore. I don't, like, one day, okay, that's good. The second day, I'm like, all right, come on, I'm getting right back in it. All right, and that happens like once every 6 months or 7 months. All right, it used to happen every fucking weekend. And when I was happening every fucking weekend, guess what? I was 350 pounds. I had much less money. I was very much so unhappy with my life. I was very frustrated. I was very angry. I was very bitter because I knew that I wasn't maximizing my potential. When you start to understand these things, guys, and you start to understand the perspective switch, your life will change. Okay, so think about this in your life. Think about how to create the momentum and understand that you are in control of that momentum at any given time. Okay, period. No matter what's going on, you can work through to create momentum. And number two, start being conscious of your momentum and valuing it in a different way. Start understanding that all the great things in your life come from this momentum that you've created, and, start valuing the fact of maybe it's not a good idea to fucking stop it when you're right in the middle of it. All right? So those are my thoughts for you today. I think you probably never heard those things before.